Well, so the sales for the 8 are a little softer than people are anticipating.
But are they really
softer?
But hold on, are they softer because there's less lines, and that's what people are indicating because people are buying it online, or are they softer because the 10 is coming in November 3rd?
Two reasons. The line, first of all, it's easier to buy online, so there's less reason to be physically online.
But are we taking too much away then from the fact that perhaps we're not having these great images of people camping out outside?
Well, because the 8 is a nice upgrade, but it's not the big leap up that people are looking for. I think it's the 10 that's actually putting pressure on 8 sales in terms of, well, now I might want a 10, despite the fact that it's so much more expensive.
Well, we think the 10's a better margin phone. So if you're an Apple shareholder,
better margin phone. It's got all the new bells and whistles. So
okay, how about the watch? I want to go out and get this watch, but then the reviews about the phone service not working.
Yeah, the phone service isn't great, largely because there's a weird glitch where if you tethered it to your computer and it's looking for a Wi-Fi signal versus an LTE signal. It's largely a software fix at this point.
But will it get fixed?
It will get fixed. My bigger issue, though, with the watch is for the use case for it. If you like, running, going out, listening to music, podcasts, you're limited, right? Because you need Apple Music for it to work on the watch. Spotify does not. There's no app on it right yet, and there's no good podcasting app for it either.
And so Spotify's not building an app, and we don't know.
We don't know yet. I mean, I'm sure they want to. I'm sure they will. But at the same time, they probably got to figure out how many people actually have the watch, how many people are using it. Should we bother building an app? And then after that, you have to kind of negotiate that with Apple. So there's a whole lot of hurdles there.
Weigh in on the Uber situation in London. How important is this for Uber, and is this just a blip and they get it fixed or not?
So Europe is the most profitable market for Uber, right? For a business that has a lot of unprofitable markets, so it's incredibly key for them. London is probably the biggest and most important part of the European equation for them, so they need to fix it. The other thing to note is that Dara, the new CEO, he said something interesting in his memo to employees. It was, there's a high cost of a bad reputation. Aside from him also being disappointed in the London decision, he acknowledged that, we can't keep operating the way we once did. Bad reputation stuff. They have to fix that, and he acknowledges.
So what has to happen during this appeal process?
I think there's there's a huge political element to this. It has something to do with how drivers are licensed and background checked, and that there's a weird fuzziness for who does it and how much they're paid to do it. So
how much are they going to have to give away, if you will, to the government in the UK, in London, to make this happen? Meaning, in terms of better wages for drivers. Right. Is there going to be a health insurance? I mean, all of this kind of stuff.
So there's definitely a political element in terms of tying, are they employees or are they not employees? And there's a big movement in the UK amongst those drivers to push for those rights. So I think that's going to be a factor. I think that is something that Uber, I don't know how far they're willing to go, but from our sources telling us, they're definitely willing to do what they need to do to get it fixed.
Why are you still optimistic about Europe? France was a failure. Germany was mainly a failure for Uber. Now this whole story in the UK, where do you get the optimism from?
Where do I get the optimism? Well, first of all, there's a new leadership. I think he's striking the right tone in terms of what they need to do. Here's the thing: I disagree with the premise that they're a failure in Europe. They're actually where they are operating. They're doing really well, and I think, given sort of the entrenched interests in terms of, if you look at, say, black cabs in London, they're incredibly expensive, and mass transit doesn't run all day, right, or all night. So for a lot of people, Uber is the only solution in terms of how to get around. So they're actually filling a gap and a need, and the fact that they can make it profitable is very interesting.
And where do you stand on Facebook? I mean, Maury Dowd went after Mr. Zuckerberg over the weekend.
Well, and there was this Washington Post story from last night where, there's an anecdote about President Obama pulling him aside, Zuckerberg aside, saying, hey, you really need to pay attention to this whole fake news issue because we think it's a big thing. So Facebook is more than just a big, snazzy new company. It's this massive impact on how society works, and I think that's something that Zuckerberg is coming to grips with. They need to do a lot more to both figure out how their influence really, really pervades every aspect of society, and then, publicly what they, plan to say to do about it.
But is it going to be on them, or do you think regulators are going to step in before that?
Well, so that's, I think, the key. I think what Mark Zuckerberg was basically saying in his address, that's the thing, he's making addresses now, is, hey, we know we screwed up. Don't worry, we're going to fix it, meaning don't bother trying to regulate us, we'll regulate ourselves.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.